Ever popular in the lineup from Furch are the Violet series guitars. We've got new additions and some changes to the lineup we're going to tell you all about, so stick around. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name's Chris McKee.
I'm Cooper Greenberg.
We're here with Alamo Music in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos, leave comments, and all of that stuff. If you'd like to support the channel, visit our spring store link below for custom swag and check out our podcast, The Fretboard Confessional, wherever you get your podcasts at. And you can tell it's us because we sound like us, and our mouths are moving as we speak with the words that we're saying. And we're also not going to ask you to buy anything other than maybe the guitars we're talking about in the video. So there you go. But we've got some cool guitars. The Violet line from Furch has gone through a few iterations. At one point, they were solid top, laminated back and sides, and they were already a good value. Mm-hmm. They became an even better value when they became all solid wood instruments. And now there's some changes to appointments in the Deluxe series, as well as tone woods that are being used on these guitars.
All good things.
All good things.
And also very cool that they're leaving the things that are working and just adding to it.
Mm-hmm.
Violet series, you know, we did our video on the Violet Deluxe, Spruce, and Mahogany. Awesome guitar, Grand Auditorium with cutaway. Those are like a can't keep them in stock kind of guitar for us. We order them all the time and think people love them because of the value. These two are kind of... You take that, branch it off into two different things, and you get, again, just amazing value. I want to start with this one because that Violet Deluxe GC SM, GC being Grand Auditorium with the cutaway, has the bevels, like all of the, well, actually the Bevel Duo.
The Bevel Duo.
It's got the Bevel Duo.
Duo bevel.
Everybody loves it, all right, because you got the bevels, and it's that body shape, which I think a lot of people love. However, there's been some very cool dreads that they've put out, and a lot of people asking, can I get the bevels on the dreads? Boom. Now you can.
Now you can.
In the Violet series. Engelmann spruce top. Another upgrade, I would say. Mahogany back and sides, and you get the bevel and the bevel. And this is not something that's just in the Violet series. There's Deluxe Dreadnoughts now kind of all through the line.
Yeah.
This, I think, makes a ton of sense. This is right over $1,300 for something with a gig bag, all solid wood, bevels. There's no pickup in here, but you can get it with the pickup.
Does it have the gig bag on the Deluxe models?
I'm just putting it out there. From now on, we're ordering them with the gig bag.
We're ordering them with a gig bag.
Violet and blue don't necessarily come with them, but I mean, who would we be if we didn't say this comes with a gig bag?
Because we think it should come with a gig bag.
When we have the opportunity, we're going to get the gig bag. So I think, one, the Furch gig bags are nice, but also a guitar of this caliber, it should be going out the door in something. We feel that about everything, and most people agree, but some manufacturers do not. However, you got the Deluxe bevels in a dread now. This is, I think it's $1,340, something around there. And
check alamomusic.com.
Check alamomusic.com. But, I mean, that's the whole deal with the Violets that we've been talking about. Like, what else are you going to get that has that feature set for $1,300?
Yeah, it's crazy. It is a crowded price point when you look at the guitar market for around that money. But usually you're giving up something. Most of the time it's solid back and sides. So the fact that they are giving you that type of construction along with bevels, along with a gig bag. Now, this particular model does not have a pickup in it.
Does not have a pickup.
So that's an option that you can add on a pickup. They typically are going with LR bags from the factory in a few different iterations, but we can always install something different for you. And if you're not too familiar with Furch guitars, we've been showing them on this channel for a bit now. We're huge fans of them. They make phenomenal guitars. And what made me think about this is in putting pickups in them. We've said this before, but our tech, Casey Jones, he sees all of the good and all the bad that comes across his bench. And so it takes a lot to kind of impress him. And I think it was his first pickup installation he did on a Furch. He just came to both of us like, those are amazing guitars.
Yeah. Yeah, and I showed him these, and he was like, hey, man, they make a good product. It's true. I will also say a lot of people feel like Dreadnoughts aren't very comfortable. Yeah. If you're a smaller statured person, big deal is you got this wide lower bout, and boom, You got a little something there to curve it, which I think is really nice. And this being a new model, CNR active.
CNR active. So if you're not familiar with that, that was kind of debuted when we visited the factory last summer. And I think it's an ingenious system where the bolt-on neck has basically a hinge point, and it goes through a wooden dowel that adjusts somewhat with temperature and humidity changes. The idea is that the guitar can somewhat adjust on its own so that you don't have this variable action. You know, lots of people out there, I don't like this, I don't endorse this, but I know guys that have a summer saddle and a winter saddle. That just means that you need to understand what's happening humidity-wise with your guitar. But this guitar will adjust for you. In addition, it's very easy to adjust on your own.
Yep.
So if you want to dial in that action, it's so simple and kind of genius in its simplicity in the way that they did it. So yeah, it's been very impressive. Those first guitars are starting to come through with that system.
So everything in their lineup will eventually have this. They are working through, and we're kind of seeing this crossover period. We've, for example, yellow deluxes. We recently got one that had the new neck and one that had the old neck, and the old neck is great.
Yeah.
So if you're going to get a good deal on a Furch and it's got the old neck, I would not let that deter you. However, I think over the next 3 to 4 months, we're going to start to see kind of everything replaced in there, and new models like this, we already got them in there.
The other nice thing about the Deluxe, if you like it, and I'm a fan, the linear position markers are really cool.
Yep.
As opposed to the more traditional dot, which is what I've got. And then, you know, the comfort of the bevel, something that you mentioned, but the fact that it also keeps your arm off of the top does matter. And I've paid attention. I remember, I think it was a Furch that it hit me on where I was playing it, and it's like, this guitar just sounds so loud, and I repositioned my arm to where it would have been without the bevel, and it got quieter. And you know, so there's a part of it that's just us sometimes.
Yeah.
So
that's the Violet Deluxe D for Dreadnought dash EM, Engelmann Mahogany, and there's a little A in there for active.
Yep.
D-EM space lowercase a.
Like
is
E
what you're
equals
gonna,
MC squared.
That's what you're going to look for. Now, on the non-deluxe side, but with a radically deluxe new edition at the price point, which blows my mind.
This is the new GC ER. So it's a Grand Auditorium cutaway with Engelmann spruce and Indian rosewood, which is a combination I love. And is usually something that you see in a much, much, much more expensive guitar. It's rare to see rosewood, solid rosewood, used in anything sub $2,000.
Yeah.
But here we are. And not only that, but I like the pairing with Engelmann. So they're really starting to use Engelmann on a lot of their guitars. The Violets are getting Engelmann. Pioneers have Engelmann. And the difference between Engelmann and Sitka is subtle, but there is a difference. And in my experience, I think Engelmann's just a little softer. You have a really nice broken-in sound, a nice roundness to the notes that are there. It's what I love. We've done exclusive guitars, much, much more expensive. You can buy 6 of these for what some of those cost.
Yeah.
And it's Engelmann, spruce, and rosewood. So what a huge value. And, you know, we talk about value in the context of Furch a lot because they are a huge value. Coming in from Europe, I think they make it a point to give you a mix of features and build quality that comes in just below their competition, which is brilliant. But the fit and finish, the quality of the guitars is absolutely stellar.
Yeah.
That's why Casey makes the comment he did.
Yeah.
Every time I grab one, I'm just like, what a phenomenal instrument.
Yeah. And you look at some of the things that other manufacturers do on lower price guitars to sort of save costs. These don't have binding on the back,
right?
But they got binding on the top, which, I mean, all solid wood guitars under $1,500 usually. It's not that way. And that one, even with the rosewood, it's got that kind of purfling line in there, like the
real nice, crisp, kind of ivory colored.
It looks
purfling.
Great. And also that guitar right now is advertised at $1,200 and $21 more.
That's insane. Not to mention antimicrobial neck.
Oh yeah,
you can't leave that out.
Microbes
like, be gone.
My bros be loving this guitar.
And I really like the simple appointments to it. I like that it's a blank fretboard. I will say sometimes people will say like if it's a running inlay it messes them up, or if it's you got side markers.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to be looking at. If you grew up playing an Ovation, I get it, but no, this is what you're supposed to be looking at.
Yeah.
So, no, really phenomenal fit and finish all around. You've got your typical Furch tuners up there. It looks like it's an overlay on the F instead of a inlay. But man, what a quality instrument. Now, I do want to address something. Let me see the top of yours. Yeah. So when you're dealing with Engelmann spruce, one of the things that you might note if you're watching the video is that there is a clear delineation line between the two halves of the top. Now, I've had people ask me, like, why is there that there? All guitar tops are at least two pieces of wood that are book matched. They split it and they open it up that way. And so what you have with that is kind of a mirrored grain structure on either side of the top. With Engelmann, there tends to be a little bit of run out. And what that means is that the fibers of the tree tend to not be perfectly parallel when it is quarter sawn. And so they'll be a little bit at an angle. And what that does is when the light hits it, you'll see that because there's kind of a change in how it's reflecting that light. It's very obvious if you look at some of Dave Matthews' old 914s.
Yeah.
My old 914 does that. If there's not a ton of run out, then the top's perfectly fine. You just see that because it's an organic material of wood that's being used. So nothing's wrong. That's just how the trees tend to grow. They tend to kind of twist just a little bit when they're growing.
And nothing wrong with that. It sounds great. It looks great. I will tell you that in the demo, I didn't play the exact same thing, but around the same sort of stratosphere. The amount of like built-in overtone reverb kind of vibe on both of these guitars, it sounds like it's like a trans-acoustic. Like it's just like this shimmering, beautiful warmth, amazing. I think all Furch guitars, we always say they punch above their weight class. They're amazing. They sound great. But like the playability, the value of what you're getting in the materials, and the kind of just feel overall, like you can't beat them. That's right over $1,200 for a guitar that same exact spec would 100% cost $2,100 elsewhere.
Minimum.
And I mean, there's really no non-laminate guitars for $1,200 with that kind of that feature set, and I think they're just amazing. So take a listen.
All right, so there you have it. Just really musical guitars.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that sounds maybe oxymoronic, but I mean, there's a lot of just resonance in these guitars. They are a really good value, but they're just really, really well made. And I think, there's secret sauce that Furch is building into these. We talked about the CNR active neck joint, which is great. The pre-existing neck joint was great. When we were there, they were able to change the neck joint on one of these guitars in like 10 seconds, but the older guitars took 20 minutes. It wasn't that big of a deal. But one thing that I don't want to gloss over, and I think is part of this secret sauce that they have, is the fact that they tune the top of every single guitar. And I brought up in one of our other videos, we weren't allowed to see that area of the factory. That was, very much, hey, this is our proprietary thing. This is the one thing we're not going to show you. But I feel like what they've done is figure out how to technologically tap tune consistently guitar tops and voice them how they want on every single one post bracing. And it seems to show because we don't get any dead notes on these. They are very, very lively guitars. And every single customer we've had that's purchased one has been very, very happy with the resonance of it.
Yeah, I feel like they've always been good since we've had them. They were always good guitars, but it feels like noticeably, I mean, every guitar brand is going to have one in every few shipments that kind of has to be shipped back or whatever. But like when these guitars come in, there's no complaints on setups. There's no, they sound great, all of them. And they are probably the only brand really right now that's like, what else can we do in the Violet series that's going to give people more value? Like, what else can we, because Sitka spruce, I'm sure, is cheaper than Engelmann spruce.
I mean, typically in the past, I know we've run into this issue when we've tried to build with Engelmann spruce, is that...
And easier to get.
Yeah, the supply isn't usually that great. The trees are smaller than Sitka spruce trees, typically. And so, yeah, it did kind of surprise me. I don't know where they came across the stash of Engelmann, but I'm glad they did.
Yeah, and I mean, solid wood, that makes sense usually in the entry-level series for that to be mahogany or sapele, but nobody else in their most entry-level line is doing solid rosewood. That's just very cool.
Or they'll find an alternative rosewood, like Sipo or something, right? And it'll be like...
I'm trying to think of some of those names, both real and marketing.
Yeah, usually it's some rosewood-like wood. So, yeah, it's just... Both of these are impressive guitars. Gig bags coming with them from us.
From us.
So, if you're interested about these guitars, you want to head over to our website, which is
alamomusic.com. Now, so when we got these guitars, there was also just some other, we're always looking to expand our offerings of Furch, and we carry the things that we carry because we love them, but there's always new fun stuff popping up. So when these came in, there was also baritone that came in. There was a new yellow Deluxe with the CNR active neck. They got Pioneers coming in, Little Janes with pickups, and all this cool stuff. They are evolving right in front of our eyes, and we're trying to get as much of it as we can, as soon as we can, to show you guys. But look at the website. Some of it's selling before we can make videos, but we're going to get more. I know we got a handful of these right now, but we're going to continue to get them because they are very cool. Effectively,
one of the things that Cooper's saying in all this is if you're interested in Furch guitars, consider Alamo Music the headquarters for Furch guitars. We love them, we're supporting them, and we're going to pretty much try to have as best of a selection of them in stock at all times as possible. And are very active in building custom stuff for people because that's a really cool program too. So if you're impressed with Furch like we are, maybe you don't want something satin finish, you want something that's moving up, we probably have it in stock or we'll have it shortly. So make sure you reach out to us on the website. If you're new to our channel, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos, and also, a little caveat at the end, know that if we're ever doing anything, it'll probably be on our website at alamomusic.com. So keep that in mind just in case someone's trying to pull the wool over your eyes. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.